A medieval peasant of 1.65 meters used to carry 40 kilos of firewood on his back for 3 kilometers every single day, without ever complaining of lower back pain. Today, an average man of 1.75 meters needs physiotherapy after carrying supermarket shopping home. What has happened to the human body in just 6 centuries? The answer is not in genetics, it lies in the way we live. And what if I told you that we never needed gyms to build functional muscle, only wood, stone and winter? If you want to understand how our ancestors built resilient bodies without modern technology, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. This video might change the way you see strength, health and progress, and drop a like to help more people discover this forgotten story. We are in rural England in the 14th century. No electricity, no machines, no supermarkets. Life moves to the rhythm of the sun, the seasons and manual labor. Men and women wake at dawn, work until the body demands rest, and sleep when darkness falls. There are no gyms, no personal trainers, no protein shakes. And yet the skeletons unearthed in medieval churchyards reveal a disturbing truth. Those bodies were stronger, denser, more resilient than ours. Archaeologists studying human remains from the Middle Ages find deep muscle insertion marks on femurs, humeri, and vertebrae. These marks show muscles that were constantly under tension, used under real load. Compared with the bones of modern adults, medieval skeletons appear to have been forged under relentless pressure. And indeed they were, but not in gyms, in life itself. Today we believe strength comes from planned training, controlled sets, whey protein, and active recovery. We believe our ancestors were weak, sickly, malnourished, that they died young because they were biologically inferior. That story is comforting but false. The truth is that a medieval blacksmith had a stronger grip than many modern recreational bodybuilders. A 12th century Norwegian carpenter could lift 60-kilo oak beams alone, repeatedly, for hours. The difference is not in the training, it is in the function. They did not train to look strong. They lived in ways that demanded real strength every day, all the time. Carrying water, chopping firewood, plowing fields, building houses, walking kilometers under load. These were not exercises. They were survival. And the human body responds extraordinarily well when strength is required, not optional. A medieval peasant woke before sunrise. The first task was fetching water from the well, wooden buckets weighing 15 to 20 kilos each. This happened 2 or 3 times a day. Then chopping firewood. Heavy axes, no ergonomic handles, no protective gloves. Every swing demanded full-body coordination. Legs, core, back, shoulders, arms. It was not muscle isolation. It was integrated, functional, efficient movement. In spring, plowing fields with wooden plows pulled by oxen or horses. The plow does not move itself. The man must guide it, press it into the earth, keep it steady as the animal advances. Hours of isometric tension in the legs, back straight, arms firm. In summer, hand harvesting, squatting, cutting, lifting, carrying, endless repetition. In autumn, building and repairing structures, wood, stone, mud, no cranes, no power tools. In winter, when the cold arrived, survival demanded even greater effort. More firewood to cut, fires to keep burning, snow to clear, animals to tend. The body never rested completely, but nor did it ever wear itself out artificially. There was no overtraining because the work varied. There were few chronic injuries because the movements were natural. The human body evolved for exactly this, to carry, pull, push, squat, walk long distances under weight. And this began in childhood. Boys of 7 already carried light firewood. Girls helped fetch water, grind grain, tend gardens. By 15, they were functionally complete adults. Their bodies were adapted to load, movement, endurance. There was no period of youthful sedentarism, followed by forced fitness attempts at 30. Strength was built gradually, organically, from early on. They did not count calories. They knew nothing of isolated protein, but they ate real food. Dense rye bread, oats, barley, thick vegetable soups, meat when available, fermented dairy, butter, cheese, eggs. Nothing processed, nothing refined. Everything came from the land or from locally raised animals. The diet was simple, repetitive, but nutritionally dense. Complex carbohydrates provided sustained energy. Animal protein constantly repaired heavily used muscles. There was no refined sugar. No soft drinks, no industrial sweets, no hydrogenated vegetable oils. Sweetness came from honey, seasonal fruit, rarely. The body did not face glucose spikes followed by energy crashes. Insulin worked without resistance. The liver did not have to process excess fructose. Metabolism was stable, efficient, resilient, and this showed in body composition. Low body fat, high lean mass, superior bone density. Eating was a functional necessity, not a constant pleasure or source of anxiety. They ate when food was available, in amounts dictated by physical work. There were no restrictive diets nor constant overeating. The body regulated naturally. Hunger signaled energy need. Satiety signaled sufficiency. Simple, direct, functional, and surprisingly healthy compared with the modern metabolic disorders caused by processed abundance. Modern gyms isolate muscles. Leg press works the quadriceps without requiring balance. Bench press works the chest without demanding full body coordination. This creates artificial strength, disconnected from real function. A man may bench 100 kilos and yet struggle to carry a 50-kilo bag of cement 50 meters. Why? Because real strength requires stabilization, balance, coordination between large and small muscles, constant adjustment to the environment. Medieval people never repeated the same isolated movement over and over. Carrying firewood demanded core, legs, back, shoulders, arms, neck. Chopping wood required trunk rotation, hip explosion, grip strength, ankle stability. Walking long distances under load demanded simultaneous cardiovascular and muscular endurance. Building a stone wall required squatting, lifting, pushing, pulling, balancing. Every task was a complete functional workout, yet no one thought of it as training. The human body thrives on variety. It adapts better when it faces different challenges every day. This strengthens tendons, ligaments, bones, small stabilizing muscles around joints. It reduces risk of repetitive strain injury. It keeps the nervous system engaged, improving coordination and proprioception. Medieval people had this naturally. We pay personal trainers to artificially recreate what they did simply by living. There were no ergonomic chairs. Sitting meant hard wooden benches, logs, stones. This required constant core activation to maintain posture. There were no sprung or foam mattresses. They slept on straw, wool, firm surfaces. This kept the spine aligned and prevented pelvic sinking. There was no central heating. The body had to generate heat metabolically, keeping metabolic rate high even at rest. There was no motorized transport. Going from one village to another meant walking 10, 20, 30 kilometers, under load, up hills, in rain, wind, snow. The cardiovascular system was constantly active. Legs became tireless machines. Feet developed strong arches, functional toes, thick skin. No cushioned trainers, no orthotic insoles. Just simple leather, or often bare feet on uneven ground. This constant discomfort, what we would today call adversity, was in fact adaptive stimulus. The human body was not made for total comfort. It was made to face variation, moderate physical stress, thermal changes. When we remove all discomfort, we also remove the signals that keep the body strong, adaptable, resilient. Medieval people had no choice, and their bodies responded with strength. Building a house was not an individual project, it was communal effort. 10 men lifted oak beams together. Coordination, synchronization, collective strength. This created a culture of physical cooperation where personal strength served the common good. Every man knew his physical capacity mattered to the community's survival. This generated responsibility, pride, intrinsic motivation to stay strong. Harvests were collective events. Entire families worked side by side, from children to the elderly. Constant movement, shared rhythm, natural pauses. There was no pressure for individual performance, yet no option to opt out. Physical strength was a social value, not aesthetic vanity. A strong man could protect, build, provide. A strong woman could work long hours, care for children, keep house. Strength was functional, valued, necessary. This social context created an environment where strength was cultivated naturally. Children saw strong adults as role models. Young people informally competed in displays of strength. Who could carry more, who could run farther, who could endure longer. Not for trophies or likes, but for respect, recognition, belonging. Strength was social language, human currency, and it motivated everyone to stay capable. Studies of medieval skeletons from England, Germany, and Scandinavia show significantly higher bone density than the modern average. Denser bones mean stronger muscles, because bone responds to muscular tension by becoming more robust. Deep muscle insertion marks on long bones indicate constant heavy loading. Joints show fewer signs of degenerative arthritis than we might expect, probably because varied natural movement distributed stress evenly. Surprisingly, medieval teeth often show fewer cavities than many modern samples. This contradicts the image of terrible medieval hygiene. The reason is simple: absence of refined sugar, a diet based on whole grains, animal protein, vegetables. Chewing hard foods strengthened the jaw and mechanically cleaned teeth. No soft drinks, no constant sweets, no refined carbohydrates fermenting in the mouth. The isotopic analysis of bones reveals protein-rich diets in many regions, especially among rural workers. Meat, dairy, eggs were more accessible than popular narratives suggest. Animals were raised locally, slaughtered seasonally, preserved with salt or smoke. This supplied essential amino acids for muscle repair. Combined with intense physical work, the result was lean, muscular, functional bodies. A medieval man of 25, 1.70 meters, weighed around 70 kilos. Low body fat, high lean mass. He could walk 30 kilometers in a day carrying 20 kilos. He could chop firewood for 3 hours without significant pause. He could lift and carry 40-kilo sacks of grain repeatedly. No formal training, no supplementation, no coaching. A modern man of 25, 1.75 meters, weighs on average 82 kilos. Higher body fat, lower lean mass. Many cannot do 10 full press-ups. A pregnant medieval woman continued working until days before birth, carrying water, tending gardens, preparing food. After birth, she gradually but quickly resumed activity. No formal maternity leave, but communal support. Her body was adapted to effort and recovered naturally. Today, pregnancy is treated as extreme fragility. Women are advised to avoid effort, rest excessively, and many face postpartum recovery difficulties precisely because they have lost physical conditioning. Medieval elderly who reached 60 or 70 remained active. There was no formal retirement. They continued contributing, repairing tools, tending gardens, teaching the young. Constant movement kept joints functional, muscles active. Today, retirement at 65 often marks the beginning of rapid decline. Sedentarism accelerates muscle loss, bone fragility, cognitive decline. Ironically, moderate physical work into old age was protection, not punishment. Medieval winter without central heating was a constant metabolic challenge. The body had to generate heat internally, burning calories, activating brown fat, maintaining active circulation. This kept metabolism elevated, naturally burned fat, strengthened immunity. There was no thermostat to adjust. The body adapted or suffered. And human bodies are remarkably good at adapting to cold when regularly exposed. Working outdoors in the cold demanded more energy than working in comfort. Muscles had to work harder to maintain body temperature while performing physical tasks. This created high caloric demand, justifying a nutrient-dense diet. There was no obesity epidemic, not because they ate little, but because they expended so much. And the expenditure came not from treadmill running, but from functional life under challenging conditions. Baths were rare, often cold or lukewarm. This may seem unpleasant, but regular exposure to cold water strengthens immunity, improves circulation, increases mental resilience. Modern cold exposure therapy is re-emerging as a health practice. Medieval people did this without scientific theory, simply because there was no alternative, and their bodies benefited quietly. Today, 40% of adults in developed countries are considered physically inactive. We sit for 8-12 hours a day. Work demands no physical effort. Leisure is digital. Transport is motorized. Food is processed, abundant, addictive. The result is an epidemic of obesity, Type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, chronic back pain, bone fragility. We spend billions on gyms, supplements, physiotherapy, trying to artificially fix what we have structurally destroyed. A human body that never carries weight develops early osteoporosis. Bones need mechanical stress to maintain density. A body that never walks long distances loses cardiovascular capacity and accumulates visceral fat. A body that never lifts heavy objects loses muscle mass and becomes vulnerable to injury from simple movements. We are creating generations of physically incompetent humans, dependent on technology for tasks that should be basic. And this is not inevitable. It is not genetic. It is the direct consequence of the environment we have created, an environment of total comfort, minimal movement, ultra-processed food, constant psychological stress, disconnection from nature. Medieval people were not genetically superior. They had an environment that demanded strength, movement, resilience, and their bodies responded. Our environment demands sitting, clicking, consuming, and our bodies respond with fragility. We panic if the electricity goes off for 6 hours. Medieval people lived without electricity for millennia and survived, thrived, built cathedrals, explored oceans. The difference is not in available technology, but in resilient human capacity. They knew how to make fire, find water, build shelter, hunt, grow food, preserve it. Basic survival skills were common knowledge, not rare specialization. Today, most people cannot make fire without matches, cannot identify edible plants, cannot build basic shelter, cannot preserve meat without a fridge. We are completely dependent on complex systems that, if they fail, leave us vulnerable. Medieval people were self-sufficient at individual and community level. That self-sufficiency demanded physical strength, practical knowledge, mental resilience, and it cultivated dignity, confidence, a sense of competence. I am not romanticizing poverty or hardship. I am pointing out that human capacity has been traded for technological convenience, and when technology fails, we are exposed as profoundly fragile. Perhaps it is time to relearn some ancient skills, not to abandon modernity, but to avoid becoming its slaves. We do not need to return to the Middle Ages, but we can reintegrate principles that worked. Daily functional movement, carry shopping on foot, take stairs, squat instead of sitting in high chairs, work in the garden, walk long distances, not as exercise, but as part of life. This rebuilds functional strength without needing expensive gyms. Real food, eliminate processed items, cook with simple ingredients, eat quality animal protein, natural fats, seasonal vegetables. It is not a diet. It is ancestral eating that our bodies recognize and process efficiently. Cold exposure, cold showers, outdoor walks in winter, reduce excessive heating dependence. This strengthens metabolism, immunity, mental resilience. Regular manual work. Repair things instead of replacing them. Build simple projects by hand, tend a garden or allotment, chop firewood if possible. Not for survival necessity, but for reconnection with physical competence. Each of these practices reconnects the modern body with ancestral demands that kept humans strong, healthy, resilient. It is not regression, it is wisdom. Progress has given us comfort, medical longevity, access to information. But it has also given us physical fragility, technological dependence, disconnection from the body. We do not need to choose between medieval and modern. We can integrate the best of both. Technology for medicine, communication, knowledge, ancestry for movement, nutrition, resilience. That is not contradiction. It is intelligent balance. A strong body is not an aesthetic luxury. It is the foundation for mental health, functional longevity, personal independence. Medieval people knew this implicitly. We have forgotten and we are paying the price. But knowledge is not permanently lost. It is recorded in ancient bones, surviving rural practices, still accessible cultural memory. We can relearn. We can reconnect. We can rebuild strength that should never have been abandoned. Perhaps true progress is not forgetting the past, but relearning what it already knew. That strength comes from living, not from training. That health comes from natural movement, not expensive supplements. That resilience comes from facing discomfort, not avoiding it. Medieval people were not superhuman. They were simply humans living humanly, and their bodies reflected that with a strength we have lost, but can recover.